Welcome to the nation. I'm John. Thank you very much for being here, for shooting a thumbs up, subscribing, all that jazz. Also, Kim Landry and Sheila Wargo. Thank you. Thank you very much for supporting this morning's Mean Bean. Y'all ladies rock. So, Joe Biden is out. Worst kept secret in the world, right? Everybody knows this by now. I'm not telling you anything new. 2 minutes after Joe Biden dropped out of the race yesterday, people were throwing down videos in the prepping community and stuff like that. Probably rightfully so. But Joe Biden is out. I got to give a shout out to Backwoods. He actually not only called it, but he said it would happen yesterday, which was Sunday. And he said Kamala Harris would be like, the top dog after that. So he got everything right. I got to give him credit where credit is due. So when I saw this news, I'm just, we're going to talk this morning, have a small chat here. When I first saw this news, it didn't really come as a huge surprise. I didn't think it would happen so soon. But I kind of figured when they said old Joe had the C-19 and we got to sequester him, if you will, over here in a big mansion somewhere, not to be heard from. I kind of figured at this point, he and his team are thinking about either dropping out or doubling down and staying in the race. But my first thought was, who has the nuke codes? I know this seems like a strange question, right? But seriously, take a step back and look at this for a second, and please forgive the crude setup that I got going on this morning. I didn't hook a whole lot of the fancier stuff up, so I do apologize. But who has the nuke codes here in the United States of America? Because when he drops out, he's basically admitting to everybody in the United States of America, hey, I can't really do this much longer. I'm not up to snuff, right? He would have run for another term if he was capable of following through with it. I mean, he's been in politics for 250 years, right? So the fact that he's pulling out lets me know somebody over there has finally realized or been convinced maybe that he's just not capable of doing anything. So who has the nuke codes? That's kind of scary when somebody backs out of the presidential race coming up because they're not fit anymore mentally, and yet they have, or supposedly they have, the codes to initiate World War III. And my second question, that I had almost immediately was, is he going to be able to finish his term out? Because again, he went away, C-19. He actually posted on Twitter. This is where we're at in the political cycle. This man posted on Twitter or X, whatever, that he was stepping down and he was endorsing Kamala Harris. We got no official announcement from the White House, no official video, nothing. We just get a statement that obviously was not written by Joe Biden. I mean, if you've heard Joe Biden speak and then you look at this statement, you begin to understand, oh, yeah, he didn't write this. And nobody's heard from Joe Biden since he's been sequestered. So what in the actual is going on right now? We have a president that we have not seen since he said, oh, I'm sick, I've got to go over here. We have this announcement that he's dropping out of the race. Again, this man is in charge of our country, in theory, and nobody's seen or heard from him other than a post on Twitter. X, whatever. I need to throw this in there as well because mainstream media is fawning. They're fawning over Kamala Harris. She's the presumptive nominee. Mainstream media is now 125% pro Kamala Harris, even though during the primaries they were dogging the lady out. I need to throw this in there, though, because Kamala Harris, although she is the presumed nominee, it is not official until Democrats have their convention. And there's a very important underlying factor here, okay? So I heard through the grapevine, my ear to the ground. I follow a lot of libertarian chatter over on Twitter, right? And other places. And they were saying that Joe Biden actually dropped out of the race because of pressure from Barack Obama and the Obamas. Those were the folks that actually convinced Joe, hey, Joe, it's time. It's time to ride off into the sunset. Think of it this way. You'll be the greatest one-term president that ever lived here in the United States, but it's time to pass the torch. So this is very indicative because a lot of Democrats immediately jumped out to support Kamala Harris. The Clintons, for one, Pelosi, all of your Gavin Newsom, all of the people that you would expect to do it, except the Obamas. They have not actually announced that they have endorsed Kamala Harris. So, me personally, I believe it may get messy before they get to their convention or during their convention. A few Democrats are still calling for an open convention. So, just because Kamala Harris is the presumed nominee, she may not be on the ticket at all. Once they get to their little deal, so their convention. So keep an eye on the Obamas, keep an eye on what they have to say about it, because apparently they're very, very powerful behind the scenes. And do not expect you're going to hear this here. I don't know if you'll hear it here first, but you're definitely going to hear it here as one of the first creators to tell you this. Do not expect to see a Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom ticket. And I'm going to explain to you why. Okay. Has to do with the 12th Amendment. For anybody that doesn't know, the 12th Amendment basically says if both candidates, that are on the ticket, president, vice president, are from the same state, they both cannot get the electoral votes from said state. And both of these would be coming out of California. So, we're looking at, I think it is 54 electoral votes that they would be surrendering to Donald Trump, basically. And that really makes no sense. If they were both from a teeny tiny state or where there was no population whatsoever, would not be such a huge deal. But the fact that it is one of the most populous states in our country, most electoral votes, or one of the two or three that has the most electoral votes. I know Texas and New York are up there as well. They're not going to surrender 54 electoral votes. So I think you're either going to see Kamala Harris and someone other than Gavin Newsom. Gavin's day will come. He'll probably get a cabinet position if she were to win, the White House, or Kamala Harris not on the ticket at all. At which point you could see Gavin Newsom on that ticket. So that's something else to look for there. Let me see what I've got written down. There we go. So that's the point I want to make this morning. Okay, I kind of want to turn it into this now. Politics at times, I guess, can be interesting to talk about. But at the end of the day, from the perspective of a prepper, the outcome is going to be the same. The outcome, even though Joe Biden has dropped out and now everybody's fawning over Kamala Harris in mainstream media, it hasn't changed from where we were at last week. If Trump wins, you're going to see societal chaos on a scale that we have never seen before. Way beyond the summer of love. You're going to see a bunch of autonomous zones popping up. You're going to see people getting very violent on the left out in the streets, college campuses, and things. Okay. If the left wins, Kamala Harris or whomever, the constitutional republic will probably at that point fall or begin to fall. It's just a matter of time at that point. I don't know that we will ever see another conservative president should the left win this election. I know that's a big statement, but let me be honest. Conservatives are not popping up brand new every single day. What we see every single day is we see conservatives dying off, aging out, if you will. And we see younger people popping up and people from other countries, just throwing that out there, right? Who lean heavy to the left. So they are gaining voters, whether you like it or not, whether it's legal or not, because again, a lot of these people aren't even supposed to be here, which brings me back just for a second to Kamala Harris. What has she done as vice president? I can only think of one thing that she was tasked with, and that was the border, right? The border. She was in charge. Kamala Harris was directly in charge of the border, stopping the chaos at the border. Ask yourself, did she do a good job? I do not think that she did. This is my personal opinion. So nothing changes, once again, from a prepping standpoint. I mean, it is what it is, folks. Nothing changes here for me, at least. Have the things that you need prior to November. Have your plans in place. You do not have to look at it like it is doomsday, the day of the election. I mean, you can. I understand why you would. But just have a plan. Getting back into, I don't think it was a cyber attack. I don't really know. They're saying it was a glitch, but from last week, computers and businesses and things, they're still affected. Many of these places are still affected. It essentially froze half of the world, or at least the Western world, for 24 hours plus. That's how quickly something can happen. Okay, so you want to be prepared for things like that. You want to be prepared for societal chaos. Should it head your way, you want to be prepared for the basic stuff. Okay, folks, this is prepping 101. This is stuff that y'all already know what I'm talking about with this. None of that changes. You still need ways to purify water. You still need ways to produce at least enough electricity to keep your vital stuff running. You still need, home protection. You still need food to eat, right? You still need essentials, and you need plans in place, whether it's bunkering in, whether it's bugging out. Y'all know the score by now, okay? This is not brand new stuff. Just keep in mind, because you're going to see it. You're going to see it hardcore now. Political back and forth is always there. You always have people. Again, politics can be interesting sometimes, but it kind of gets boring for me after a while. You know what I mean? I kind of get to the point where I'm like, it is what it is. But some people obsess over it nonstop, especially in the age of social media. So you're going to see political back and forth, just nonstop. The left, vote blue, no matter who. The right, Trump train. Y'all get the score. But all of that back and forth, all of the insults that are going to be hurled back and forth between the left and the right, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. All of the political lawyering where you're trying to change people's minds online, and all of the pearl clutching, and all of the trying to open people's eyes up and say, look at, we're past that. We're past that. People know how they're going to vote. They know where they stand at this point. Minds are not going to be changed on Twitter. Minds are not going to be changed on Facebook. All people are doing at this point, in my opinion, is shouting back and forth at each other. And that's something that I'm going to try to ignore. And I'm going to try and stay focused on, well, I can spend 6 hours a day shouting back and forth about political positions, or I can make sure that my family's going to be okay come November plus. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, none of the rest of that stuff matters. It's just white noise. And it's white noise that is leading us, folks, it's leading us into an age of chaos. I may even go with that as a video title this morning. Welcome to the age of chaos or something like that, because it's true. It's true. We're ramping up at this point. Okay. Come November, we're blasting off like a rocket ship. People need to be prepared for that, okay? And that's just my 2 cents for the morning. Thank y'all for listening to the rant. Y'all take care and God bless.